And the effect this had on cultural evolution was exactly the same, I think, as the effect that the invention of sex had on biological evolution. Because the invention of sex accelerated and made cumulative for the first time genetic mutation and evolution. Here's an example. In an asexual species, as it's dollars, before the end of this century, that's the trajectory we're on, that our grandchildren will have an income 3 to 6 times as high as the average American today, globally all around the world. Those are amazing numbers, if they can be sustained. So it's very interesting, I think, to understand whether or not this is possible. What about recession? In 1950, you'd have had to work for 8 seconds on the average wage to earn that much light from an incandescent bulb. That's 7.5 seconds of economic growth, which has appeared in the world since then. 7.5 seconds that you can now spend earning something else, or leaving the light on. And back in 1880, you'd have had to work for 15 minutes to earn that much light. In 1800, someone for himself. The mouse was made by a team of people for me. They got together one day and they said, Matt Ridley needs a computer mouse, let's make him one. How many of them were in that team? There were hundreds, thousands, I think probably millions. Because you've got to include the man who was growing coffee in Brazil. So when did this happen? When did we start exchanging things? The best way of finding evidence is to find archaeological evidence of objects moving long distances. Because we know from modern aborigines, like modern hunter-gatherers like aborigines in Australia, that when you see hand axes moving long distances in Australia, it's because a trade gave up how to make them. It wasn't because they were becoming stupider, it was because their collective brain was too small to sustain the specialization and exchange necessary to keep technology evolving. And as a little check, a little cross-experiment, Tierra del Fuego did not suffer this. Why not? It's similarly inhospitable island with a similarly small population of hunter-gatherers. The answer is because neural network ourselves. And we cannot but be accelerating the rate of human innovation as a result. So perhaps that $100,000 to $200,000 estimate of GDP in the year 2100 per capita might even be an underestimate. Well, okay, we're better off, but are we healthier, happier, cleverer, kinder, cleaner, more peaceful and more equal? Yes. Healthier. Gas and all these things that agriculture depends upon. Aren't they going to run out? Well, they haven't yet, and we've been saying they will for 150 years, actually. There are predictions going right back to the 1860s of a peak coal, which was a sweet spot that coincides with rapid economic growth. It's when you've had a huge population boom, so you've got a lot of young people, but those young people themselves are having fewer babies. So you actually get this sort of bulge of workers with not very many dependent children and not very many dependent elderly.